First of all, nationalism has always been a myth, and it was recognized to be a myth centuries ago. You can read about it in Adam Smith, he wrote a book, as everybody knows, called Wealth of Nations, but he also pointed out that it's nonsense. There's no such notion. That the policies that he was speaking mostly about England, and he said, look, the policies that are carried out in England of the English government are determined by what he called the principal architects, who in his day were the merchants and manufacturers of England, and he said they doesn't use state power to enrich themselves, to ensure that their own interests are most peculiarly attended to, as he put it, however grievous the impact on the people of England. So in other words, it's a class policy. Yes, the nation is mobilized, but in class interests, the interests of the people who own the society. Well, what was obvious to Adam Smith ought to be obvious to us, and it would be if we didn't have it beaten out of our heads, because it's a truism. A 10-year-old would be able to figure it out if they just thought about the world for a second. So it takes, again, a good education to drive these things out of your head. But it's obviously true what Adam Smith regarded. He didn't make a big fuss about this because it's so obviously true, he just mentioned it. But it was obviously true then. It's much more obviously true now. But it's true that populations are mobilized in support of the interests of the principal architects of policy who own the societies constantly. That's why countries go to war, or that's why they follow destructive domestic policies. And, constructive nationalism can react against that. It can, in fact, it doesn't have to be hostile to other nationalisms. It can be cooperative with it. People do fall together in one or another kind of grouping. There's nothing wrong with that. There's no reason why one or another of those groupings has to be hostile to another one. They can recognize that there are interests that cut across them, and they can try to cooperate with those who have the same interests within another grouping, another nationality. For common, like American workers and Mexican workers have basically the same interests. They can both work within their national entities, to develop policies which will be cooperative and supportive. The other side of the class war. There's nothing good or bad about nationalism. Depends how it's used.